Welcome back to another episode of The Clean Truth. I am Dawson Holt.
And I am Ben Jones, and today we have the pleasure of having the legendary Casey Nash on as our guest. So Casey, welcome. Give us just a quick run through. If anyone doesn't know who you are, which if they don't, they are wrong, but give us just a quick little overview of who you are, what you're all about.
An overview. I started competing in 91. I got picked up on Metro All-Stars in 94. And then I went on to be on Paul Mitchell. I started my season with them in 97. And trying to think what you guys want to know. I've been competing a long time. I've worked with a lot of really cool people. Compete on NASCA, MBL, ISKA, PKA, WACO. I don't know what you want to know.
That's all good stuff. Yeah. I mean, as we get into questions, I think some of this is just going to kind of pour out. So okay. You already mentioned like you've been or had the chance to work with a lot of great people over the years, whether that's them as a coaching or mentor role to you or you being that coach and mentor role. So one that we want to bring up, which is, kind of a big deal, is Mike Bernardo. So what was training with him like? Give us a little bit of a dive into the dynamic with that and just kind of go for it.
It was interesting. Like the first tournament I went to would have been in 1990, like middle of the year. I think I was like a yellow belt at the time. My instructor at the time actually ran a NASCA tournament in Charlotte. So we went just to watch and check it out. And Mr. Bernardo was actually on stage that night and did his weapons form. And I told my mom that I want to do that. So after that, they started obviously, I was brand new. So it was finding somebody in our area that could teach bow to start working. And we started competing at NASCA tournaments the following season. So I would have been an intermediate belt 91. And I kind of lucked out at the point where I started karate and competing because a lot of stuff, from what I've been told, was changing at that point. And going into 91 and then as advanced belt in 92, Mr. Bernardo was teaching seminars all over the place. Like pretty much every NASCA tournament, you could get him for a seminar on Friday. So I did every seminar that man did all year. I was everywhere. So to the point where he knew me by name just from seeing me at all of his clinics. And it was really cool. Like definitely a fangirl moment because, I'm a blue belt and he's on stage winning all these amazing things.
Right.
So from that relationship, and again, like, I don't know, anybody watching has met my mom. She makes friends with everyone. So she definitely befriended him very quickly. And so we got invited to a lot of the clinics he did in Canada. Cool. So I remember coming to summer camp and training with his guys, which, the name Claire Kokoza. So she's one of his students. So that's when I first met Claire, was at Mike Bernardo summer camps. But it was a different dynamic, I think, than you get with a lot of coach students because I only saw him once a month at tournaments.
Yeah.
So it was very much like absorb as much as you can, get your parents to put it on VHS and then go back and literally live it for a month until you get to see him again. And then try to obviously show improvement. So he would give me more.
Yeah.
Being involved with the summer camps and stuff was really cool because I got to see a whole different type of martial art because what I was doing was a blend of karate and aikido, and then he's a traditional stylist. So that really opened the door for learning a lot of different stuff that way too. Cool. And the connections that he had with other people that were changing the way that we do both, like Dave McCumber, Brian Ruth, who else was local that you guys might know. Any other names you guys might know. Those two were big for me too, following. But yeah, it was really neat. And even now, like at tournaments, I have trouble talking to him because he is who he is, and he's not scary, but to me, he still is a little bit. But yeah,
still fangirling out.
Training was, I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. because I feel like I kind of had the same dynamic almost with Jackson. Obviously, it's a little bit different because just the times have changed at that point. But I remember like my mom would sit in the corner with her little video recorder and would get the whole lesson. And like,
Really?
yeah, it was every tournament we went to. Obviously, Jackson was at like every NASCAR tournament. And so we would get a lesson like every tournament, whether it was the Thursday night before it started or Friday early before everything got started.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool to see. Like that's how it was for you. Pretty similar for me as well. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I could also say the same thing because both of us, that's how we became friends, was we went to camps at the Battle of Atlanta, or it was when the Presleys, including Jackson, started competitive edge camps first. So that was before they started the team. Then they did that, but yeah, that's how we became friends. So we just trained together all the time, and we learned a lot through those camps. But it was,
do you find camps are such a strong learning environment because you're surrounded by so many like-minded people compared to like a curriculum club class? Like,
I would say so. Yeah, for sure.
Because everybody's on the same path, and it's nice too when you have a coach that can kind of like create that open banter back and forth for everybody to collaborate. And I think camps have a little bit more of that vibe. Versus seminars and even privates, right? Like it's nice to be able to feed off each other. So the fact that you guys had that group environment is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's a lot of like-minded people, same goals. We're all trying to grow and then see what we can like take into the tournament. That's like a few hours later or something, which is pretty cool. Like I think it kind of makes the tournament more exciting to compete at because you've just taken in so much, and it's like, either I'm going to try to do everything I just learned right away, or like the next time you come to a tournament, you've got a lot to like look forward to and work on. So I like how the camps are, like you kind of said, a little more collaborative and not so much like I'm your teacher, do this, but it's everybody like working together, getting better. So it's cool.
So did most of the camps you guys do, were they in conjunction with the tournament?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the competitive edge camps we were doing, they did them at like Atlanta, DC. They did Dixieland one year before that went away. Chicago had a camp at one point, so it was pretty much tournaments. Do
you wish that it was like separate?
Well, we had one camp that was not at a tournament. It was the winter camp, and that was
big too.
That was in Tennessee, and that was one of the big ones. We also did some of the hyper camps too. So that's like, that goes beyond, that there's Presley's, you got Jackson, you got Tyler Weaver, Kalman, Choka came one year.
Danny. He's amazing.
Danny. Yeah. So Kalman's another figure that, I was a sponge, I was always taking something from his lessons. And even still to this day, like he's given me great advice, every year that I see him in Atlanta. So yeah. So also you did mention earlier that, you've met a lot of cool people and you're very well accomplished in this sport, but you're also very well accomplished in producing champions. You've also trained people in the past and even currently, like we have 2 fighters right now on Paul Mitchell that are from your school. So what's the secret sauce that you're putting on these champions?
Okay, so this ends up being like a little bit of a controversial viewpoint, I think. So stop me if we. I feel that a lot of the people I've interacted with in the last 35 years of doing this have a view of ownership over athletes and students, and have a real big issue with their athletes and students traveling and training with other people. And I think one of the formulas that has worked very well for us is being more open to respecting other people as coaches and what they can offer our kids. And also, it's funny, I had a conversation with one of my girls a few weeks ago. I don't feel ownership over the athlete. I feel pride over the process. So it really bothers me when a lot of people are like, that's my student, as if that like they belong to them. I don't feel that their success is mine. I feel their success is theirs, because like everyone that we give the information to, it's up to them to take it and translate it to the next step. And everybody gets the same info. It's just the ones that choose to do something with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's their process, very much so. And we've always been of the mindset that the more people you can get information from, the better you're going to be as a person and as an athlete. I think for us, that's worked really well. And then being open-minded enough to collaborate with other coaches and take their feedback and go, okay, like let's say I came to you and you told one of my kids they need to do this spin this way. I'm like, all right, well, how do I help facilitate what Ben or Dawson told them? Instead of a lot of coaches that I've worked with are like, no, you have to do it my way or the highway, because you're my student.
Yeah.
Being able to embrace that process has helped us find the right formula for each person. So, I mean, if you're talking secret sauce, maybe that's part of it. Because it takes a village, right? Like, so I don't know, but a lot of people, we even have it in other sports. Like you see it in a lot of things. Like my kids play football. My son does wrestling. Like you can see it in other sports too, where like they don't want their athletes working with other coaches. And I don't understand that. Like I don't like. Did you guys have that problem growing up, that people didn't want you getting info from other places?
I never really went out of my way to work with a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Now I've asked for opinions, and I've taken and thought about it myself and try to figure out what works best for me.
Which is cute.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't think I ever really truly went out of my way, like especially like I don't know where I'm going with this, but like I guess in a bunch of like different divisions, like I'm competing in more divisions now, but like I'm not going out of my way to work with the top, I guess, like I'm doing Korean, so I'm training Korean forms at my school with my instructor, not I guess someone a champion in NASCA. I don't know how to explain that. That probably wasn't the best answer, but you know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah,
like,
I get you.
Yeah, I guess I never really chose to go super far out, I guess. So.
I think a lot of, and again, I could be wrong, it's just my opinion, but a lot of coaches want to tie the success of the athlete to their club because it elevates the school. Yeah. So then when an athlete leaves or acknowledges someone else, it like takes away. I don't know if it's an ego thing, well, probably, but I've had a lot of like issues where, okay, can I say, for example, I was doing lessons with a student who I thought had gotten clearance from their instructor. Because that's a big thing, right? Like, is your coach okay with you working with us, right? Because I want to make sure that the coach or the instructor is okay taking the information and helping facilitate them to the next step. Because I only see them every so often, right? Well, I got a yes from the student, which was not true. And then the actual instructor picked up the phone and called me and was like, no. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm hands off. Nope. I was told it was okay. If you're saying it's not, we're good.
Right?
Like, but I've encountered that quite a bit where people don't want you working with their kids. Or I've had students I know that got kicked out of their school because they were coming to train at our school. And their instructor said, nope, us or them. And it's like, why? Like, why is that a thing?
Yeah.
I was coming all the way to Canada to train with Bernardo because my home instructor wouldn't teach me any extra stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I get, really? Yeah. I guess I could say like the two people, I guess, that the Presleys did give me the thumbs up, including Jason Warren, was like, okay, you can work with Kalman and Marcel Jones for forms, like Kalman for weapons, Marcel for forms. And because, why not? Just because they're close by. And it was, I guess, Yeah, it was one of those where like I was transitioning into the adult division. Well, it was my first year into the adult division, so it was like okay. And so yeah, they gave me the thumbs up, and yeah, like I said, I learned a lot from both of them. So
well,
that
good
was
on
pretty.
them for
Yeah.
seeing that was a next step in your growth process to be able to recognize that. Like that's good on them. And obviously it paid off because look where you are now, right? Able to take that and then share that with other people.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen kind of the same things. Like I do private lessons with some other students that do private lessons with other established, like competitors or now coaches that have kind of moved on from competition. And I like the collaborative, effort behind it. I think there's communication also between the coaches, which I think helps. I mean, if it's like I'm doing private lessons with this kid, another person doing private lessons with this kid, but I don't talk to this person at all, or like not even necessarily like checking in after every lesson I do, like, hey, this is what we did, but just having an open, dialect sometimes, but about a certain student can help because like it's two different sets of eyes seeing the same thing. And then like some of my perspectives could really help. And then some of the other person's perspectives could maybe help it even more. And it's just something that I'm not seeing at the time. So I think that collaborative effort can be, I mean, if I'm truly training this student, I want the student, to do the best that they can. And so if this person's also going to help the student do the best they can, I should have no problem with that person helping me help the student,
For sure.
So,
which again is a great outlook because I've encountered a lot of people who do not have that outlook.
Yeah.
So I think that shows a lot about how comfortable you are with your skill set and confident in yourself to be able to be okay with that. But also I think it shows a lot about the person in what their motivators are for why they're teaching in the first place.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good.
It's big too, like, yeah, it's also like I technically, Mike Welch obviously competed against him a lot. Yeah. So he's my boss here. Yeah, he's the man, right? Yeah. And he, even before I got here in Wisconsin and was teaching for him, like he would send me students and he's like, I don't know the latest bow tricks or whatever, is going on difficulty wise. So I'm going to outsource, like send them to me. And so that collaboration, having like, Mike would just work on all of the fundamentals, performance, things like that. He's also in person there too. So we can get a little more hands-on. And then like I would do virtual lessons and show them upgrades and tricks and all these different things that can just take like the difficulty to another level. So then that coming together would create, a pretty well-rounded competitor, you would assume. So, and I think it's
the students we've had that have come to us and been like, hey, we got an offer to be on the team, blah, blah, blah. Are you good? I'm like 100%. Like I 100% trust what he's about to give you as far as a martial arts.
Yeah.
Like the whole shebang goes 100%. If he wants you, let's go. Like he's amazing. I remember having like, it used to be very much like, do not kick with the bow. Like it's stupid. Mm-hmm. Why would you kick with the bow? Your legs, da, da, da. And he used to tell me, no, you're not kicking with the bow. And then we were at a tournament and I don't know if you were like, he does that like trap thing and shoots a side kick. And I was like, unless you can do it like that, you're not allowed to kick with the ball.
Yeah, that way it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no one else can do it.
You can find that exact move if you go on YouTube and look up Karate Bow Extreme.
that flip side kick.
Yep, awesome. You can find that exact move.
You did something else. You go like, you go like hand roll, push it in front, and like front kick over it, and then like push it down into something else before. I've seen that in a couple of videos. I don't know if it's in that form that you just mentioned, but I've seen that a couple of times. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
You're like, maybe. Yeah.
It's a cool
video. He threw that side kick, and I was like, oh, I got to rethink this.
My whole philosophy has changed now.
Because he's that good. But,
right.
Yeah, no, Mike's one of my favorites.
For sure. And I think he's, like you already mentioned, you said in martial arts in general, he's going to give you something good. Like he's so well-rounded. And that's another thing we wanted to talk to you about, being a triple threat, doing the forms, weapons, and the sparring as a well-rounded martial artist and not just a sport karate competitor. How do you think that, like, did one aspect of what you did, maybe did the fighting help your forms in any way? Did the weapons help your fighting in any way? Can you talk a little bit about that?
It surprises me. I feel like I taught the seminar in Quebec, and I asked them how many of them spar, and nobody put their hand up. So it surprises me. I find the overlap in all three to be huge because the concepts are the same. The application and the essence behind what you're doing to make contact and actually use it for self-defense is very, very similar. Now, sometimes like maybe the timing's a little different or the distance is slightly off, but the theory and the concepts are there. So I definitely found that coming up to Canada and doing more quality sparring training really helped the viewpoint of what we were doing with forms, and then being able to apply it more realistically, I guess, to where it didn't, not that it ever felt like filler, but it felt like there was more intent behind it. I have a couple of instructors right now that their forte is more fighting. So it's really interesting for me to try to find analogies and comparisons to show them how the same movement they do in point fighting is the exact same footwork I'm trying to get them to do with their bow. And the light bulbs are like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's the same step off. This is the same J slide. This is the same. And instantly they're better because now they can apply with what they're comfortable with. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think there's something to be said for understanding it as an actual self-defense art and then branching out to it being demonstration versus the other way around. Yeah. Like, because I think sometimes the kids now are like freaks of nature from an athleticism perspective with the way that, I mean, I know not everyone, like you're not supposed to just yeet it, but like they will try anything, right? Yeah. And they're so athletic. Yeah. But I think that sometimes it comes across as gymnast first, that then I'm trying to teach them karate instead of I'm a martial artist who's trying to incorporate gymnastics. Which I think changes the validity of what we do as well. Which I think, like watching some of the divisions, I think that's where I'm like, what are they doing? Like, what is happening right now? Because a lot of the lines of engagement don't make sense. The lines of attack don't make sense. Like we're chambering on a line, like we're chambering this way to try to kick that way. Like it doesn't make sense. And I think if they actually had a target that they were trying to hit, I think they would get a ton of aha moments that then would instantly make their forms easier to follow, and some of their lines easier to execute. I know I got off on a tangent there, so I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
No, it's good.
No, I think there's definite room for overlap, 100%.
Yeah.
Even if you're not great at it, like even if you're not number one in your sparring division, but as a youth competitor, you experienced all three and then made the choice of this is what I really like. It's like junior divisions being high school, and now you're picking your major. What do you want to major in? What do you want to really take to the next level? Well, maybe sparring's not it for you, and that's fine because maybe math isn't it for this person. So they're going to major in English or history or whatever. Like being able to find your niche a little further on, I think would help some of them too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was forced to do it all. Like I had to do forms, weapons, and sparring like in the beginning, and then I was allowed to choose my major. So, but yeah, learned a lot from it.
Mr. Pombero in the chat.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's funny because a little while ago I came across a video like on VHS. Yes, we're old. That Mike sent me when I first got on Paul Mitchell. And it actually is like for your eyes only, do not share with anyone. And it was all these really great sparring drills because they knew how bad I was. And they were all trying to, like, it was awesome. Yeah, I still have that DVD. Or not DVD, VHS.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I actually made Lauren do some of those drills.
Yeah. Well, I would like to ask, like, what was some of your best memories on the team, on Paul Mitchell? Could be in the ring, could be out of the ring, you could just be hanging out with the team in general, with the team meetings. Like, what was some of your best memories?
I think some of the best memories are just us sitting around being people, like just hanging out. Like we had some great times when we actually got to go to John Paul's house in California and kind of hang out on the beach and just be people that all enjoyed the same thing.
Yeah.
Not always like just grinding at a tournament, but I think I was lucky too to get on the team with the group of guys that were in place at the time, because most of them were very much like big brothers. Which was cool because there was always like a divide between, there you go. There was always like a divide between like the forms team and the weapon and the sparring team. And I think there still is. And I understand why it's there, because there's a very different, at tournaments now, there's a very different timing requirement.
Yeah.
Right? Like the way the divisions are set up, like there's a different timing, and you have to take care of the athlete as far as recovery time and prep. I get that. But as an athlete that did both, that was hard, because I'm there at the very beginning and I'm still there at the very end. And it was really amazing to see those guys go out of their way to show up early to be by my ring. And in case I needed anything. And we're not talking about one of them, like we're talking about all of them. Like that really helped a lot to feel part of the team. And to kind of bridge that gap between both, because I mean, in a way I'm on both teams because I did both, but they're a good group of guys. They're a very good group of guys.
Yeah. Well, and then that's like an aspect too that takes it from, not just a team, but more of a family. Like you don't have to be here right now. You're choosing to be here to support me. Like, and that means a lot, Yeah.
It's huge, right? Because again, like being at a camp, like they're like-minded people. They understand. Like I don't know about you guys, but high school is rough. Like I didn't fit in with people in high school because none of them had the same life trajectory that I had at that moment. Right? They didn't have the same priorities. They weren't working towards the same goals. But to be at an event with people like that, now you're with your like you said, like you're with your family, with your tribe, whatever. They are all working to the same. So they understand what it took you to get there. They understand the pressure you're at in the ring before, after, the pressure you put on yourself as an athlete and a person and as a coach. They get it. So sometimes you'd be able to have whatever experience happens in the ring and make eye contact and instantly know that they get it. Like they know, like, yeah, she needs a minute, leave her alone, or yeah, let's go have a chat. Like they know. I think that's a huge bond. That is why a lot of people compete for that connection. So yeah, they're a good group of guys.
100%.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not that you guys aren't cool too, but
well, we're trying. We're getting there. We're still on the way.
Yeah, we're doing our best.
Well,
that's right. Yes, ma'am. So another thing, we obviously were at Quebec Open this year. So one thing we want to do, because we've done this with a few other guests, we had Rudy Raynon and Steve Terada share some things that they would like to still see in this generation that maybe isn't there, or just complimenting some of the things they are seeing. It's very easy to get critical because, it's like you see that and you're like, oh, that should be fixed. But ultimately, there's a lot of good going around. So being at the Quebec Open, seeing a little bit of the current generation that's active, what are some good things that you're seeing? And then what are some things that you would like to see maybe a little more of moving forward? And then hopefully people are listening in and taking notes.
Yeah, I think we do get caught up, like you said, in being critical because that's how you move forward. Right? So pointing out ways you can improve. I think too, being competitors, when you ask a lot of competitors are looking for how to be better, which is to find the flaws. I will say from a sportsmanship perspective, I saw a lot of good things at Quebec Open. Now I was kind of segregated on Friday because where we were judging, it was the same group of people, and then on Saturday as well. So I didn't get to see obviously the whole venue, but it seemed a little bit better than I've noticed in the past. So I think that's positive. I think it should be that way. I think it's hard to remember that, yes, you're competing against other people, but at the same time, ultimately you're competing against yourself. So do the best you can do for you and embrace other people on their journey, and you're only going to get better together. Versus like there was a while there where it seemed like it was the opposite in a lot of the rings, where you could just see the side eye and undercuts and people being excited when other people screwed up, and you're like, why would you be that way? So even with all the drops that we had at the Quebec Open, it seemed like there was a lot of people that were supporting each other, which is awesome. I think from an athletic perspective, the way that all of you guys are able to integrate some of this stuff from a gymnastics perspective is incredible. Like, kudos to you guys for figuring out how to get your body to do that crap. I think what worries me a little bit is the longevity of it, because I don't know from a muscle imbalance and line of attack, execution, whatever, how safe it is for what you guys are doing on hips, knees, joints. Because I saw a lot of people landing in ways that just made me cringe, because I go, oh my God, your knee is not gonna take it, right? And that's where I think we were talking to some of the stance stuff, where it's like, I don't know how much of it is to be able to do the acrobatic, and how much of it is like just scary. Yeah, I worry about the longevity of the body being able to do that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as an active competitor, I worry about it as well, and I mean, I also study like currently I'm in school right now, so I'm also trying to study like how can I, maximize my body for this and not without getting hurt.
For kinesiology, is that what you're studying?
Exercise and sports science.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of it that like just makes you go, oh, like that's just setting yourself up down the road. I know that was a big thing. Like, I'm totally off the Quebec Open, and I will come back. But my son working with some different coaches about like the cool down process and like the actual a proper warm up and a proper cool down, even on the day of the tournament, just to be able to run your division again, right? Because he does wrestling, so they'll have like their 2-minute round, and then they'll have like an hour and a half, and they got to go again. So that cool down process to be able to re-warm up is huge for him. And I don't know that we as martial artists really take that into account as much in between divisions. Well, you guys, you run back to back to back to back. So
I've taken it more seriously now. Like, it's stuff that, like I said, I'm like learning and studying about. Literally took a class this past fall, and just it felt like a gym class, but no, I was learning exercises like outside, learning just like really training the intensity, because like for what we do, like we're type 2 aerobic, that's how our muscles are designed, because our forms are not very short, or excuse me, our forms are not very long. They're very short with very high intensity, so like, okay, how can we train our body to be able to perform that multiple rounds, as well as get a good warm up? And also, like, man, like, especially after a long day, like, rest is so key. Like, just having to eat the right foods, trying to stay off my feet. Like, I have a massage gun everywhere now, just because, lactic acid builds up in my, legs easy. So yeah, stuff like that. I definitely agree. Like, and someone else who's showed or really opened my eyes is actually Ross Levine.
Yes.
Because of his background, his education. Well, he's also a physical therapist too. So I did 3 months of his program, and he, like, I mean, I felt like a white belt almost, like that dude knows the way for sure. There's a reason why he's so successful.
To help us with my oldest son with his wrestling schedule going into Worlds last year. And he helped us with his buddy Zach for nutrition and all that stuff, and then getting him on a program. Same thing. Like, the guy knows his stuff. Like, I really wish when I was in my 20s, I knew what I know now, because I think it would be a whole different game. Like even you said, like, as far as the cool down, stretching the proper way, maintaining like the entire hip girdle in a better way to minimize injury, diet, rest, mats would have been great. Like, I'm so glad that you guys have actual mats for what you're doing. Like I look back and go, oh my gosh, that was horrible. Like, so
yeah.
super glad we have mats now.
I mean, for us, we've never not had mats. Like
really?
that seems foreign to us. Like I did a couple local tournaments like at a middle school gym or something, and it was on like a gym floor and there weren't any mats. But I've thought about, I'm like, what would our forms look like if we never had mats? Because I don't think you'd see all these landings to split on a concrete floor, or
they were doing it. Yeah.
I mean, I know they were still doing it, but
like Anthony Atkins for
that's true.
Yeah. Anthony Atkins for how high he was jumping, or Jason Tankson too. Like there's a list of people just landing in the splits.
That's true.
Yeah,
I wonder.
Even
I wonder
like the top style guys doing like the whole back thing, and some of that stuff is just like, oh, are they okay?
Yeah, I saw a video of DX recently on Instagram, and he just yeeted himself in the air and just landed straight on his back.
Just laying on the floor.
Oh no, you guys were on something back then.
But we weren't doing the stuff that you guys are doing. So that's another, like, I guess kudos to NASCA and the leagues for realizing that it's going that direction. We need to get something down to protect the athletes and to make it, to let it keep evolving. Because I like you said, I don't think it would be where it is right now if it was still concrete gym floors, right? Like not pleasant. And even the stages, like you guys have, like having mats up on the stage is amazing. Because we used to get a lot of, it was like, it would just be the boxes they make the stage with like a tarp over it. Yeah. Or you wouldn't have anything over it. It would be that weird carpet. So that used to be one of the biggest stressors going into the finals was, what's the stage going to be like? Like, can we get in that room early enough to get on that stage? Because I don't know if you guys still freak out about that at all. Like you guys are like so like beyond that.
Well, the only concerns that we have is like, okay, there's like, are there holes in the mats? Are the mats super slippery? Are there lumps on the stages? Like that's the only concerns that we have to do.
And then lighting is crazy. Like there are some certain stages, it's like on top of you, and in certain stages it's way like directly in front of you, and so it's I don't know, I don't necessarily notice it that much. I think I'm just so like focused on the form in the moment, and it doesn't really affect. But the first time you walk out, you're like, okay, I can't see right now, but we're gonna be fine, depending on where they are. Like, and sometimes like I think the diamond stage, the lights are like right above the stage. They're not forwards shining onto the stage, they're like on top of it. So like sometimes that's a little like my bow could hit that if I get too close to the front of the stage. Like that's a factor. But
Capital Classics is also close.
It would be interesting to get like feedback from you guys and from other athletes as far as like what preference would be. Like if I was still running a tournament as a tournament promoter, I would that would be something I would be interested in knowing. Is like, because you have to look at it from several different angles, right? From a marketing perspective, as the people online watching the stream, what's the lighting need to be? What's the lighting need to be for the audience that's in the room? And then what's the lighting need to be for the athlete on the stage to give us the best performance?
Yeah.
So it would be really interesting to see, could you find a setup that helped you with all three of those that then was best for you guys? Like, or does it really matter? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because then I also think back to Quebec Open, the production there, the lighting, there's like a fog machine. Like, I mean, the crowd is awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I actually don't even really notice the lights at Quebec. I think it's all behind us, right?
Well, it's very high up too. But the projections of lights, they are behind us, but there's a whole like square of line of lights that are
on the roof,
very high. Yeah, very high. So
that's true.
But the lights at Quebec are.
So we go back to the Quebec Open. I think those are things like, as far as the production side of it, that always is a standout, and it's really neat to see over the years how it's evolved. Because I remember being there years, and the tournament, like, we're not even closed down from the finals yet, and Clermont's already over there going, okay, so next year, here's what we have coming. We're going to do these on the sides. We got these big columns. They're going to have lights inside them. I want to put 2 here. I got a dance company. I'm like, holy crap, like, we're not even done yet. And he's already going, how do I go bigger? Like, that's just definitely like outside the box as far as a production side of it, going, we want to showcase the athletes in a show, not just let's continue the tournament on a stage.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
I think it makes it just feels different.
It's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I remember the first time we came, it would have been, what year was that? I want to say it was like 98. Yeah, let's go with 98. And he brought me in with John Valera, and I felt so far out. I was like, I really don't need to be here right now. Like, this isn't, I am not good enough to be here right now. Like, you probably should have picked somebody else, because I'd never been to a production like that. Like, even the US Open wasn't doing it like this. Like, he brought us in, I think 2 days early at the time. And this is before Fridays were what Fridays are now. And we were doing radio spots and interviews, and we were meeting with the lighting guys. And I'm like, I have no idea any of the answers to any of these questions. Luckily, John does know all the answers. So he's got these guys, and he's like, I want red lights here. I want spotlights here. I want you to move this, pan this out. I'm like, whatever he said. Like,
was it all in French?
Whatever he wants. No, yeah. I used the one. But yeah, they had it all set up, and John knew exactly what he wanted, and the way that he was able to, in that time frame, get them to choreograph these red lights to his music to set him off as the opening act was beyond amazing. And that was definitely like, this is a different type of tournament. Like, yeah. I'm trying to think what else, because you guys asked me about the tournament, and I got off on a whole nother thing.
I'm gonna tell Claremont that I want to walk out to Fog next time or next year.
Do you like the Fog?
No, I want to.
Really?
Not on the stage. I think like on the
walkway.
You just want to have
the walkway.
Yeah. You're right.
I want a big disco ball to drop down as soon as I walk in.
Really?
That'd be cool.
Will you break dance and kind of do a whole thing?
I can do a little coin drop thing.
There, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I want to see that. You got video of that?
I don't. Well, I might.
You might? That means you do, but you really don't want to share.
Well, that means I think I do, but I'm not sure where it is. Okay. I don't know if it's like public or if it's just deep in my camera roll. I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I could always film one, I guess. I could just go film it. But
so everyone, tomorrow, you'll notice that Ben Jones is going to make a post.
Yeah. Just proof that I'm...
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think trying to do anything else tournament-wise if we get back on track. There was a lot being said about... There's always a lot being said about judges when you go region to region. Do you guys find in your divisions that the judges are a problem region to region? Or do you find it's pretty much same stuff, different city?
I can tell certain tournaments, certain states, you do notice a difference. I think across the board, for the most part, the best people end up coming out on top. And I think for the most part, they pretty much get it right. Now you may have, if you think about, we have 4 CMX weapons divisions with creative bladed and non-bladed. And maybe out of those 4, 1 or 2 of the outcomes, you're like, I don't know, it could have gone this way, could have gone this way. But I feel like for the most part, they usually get it right. But you do notice differences. And like sometimes there'll be something crazy. Like in Quebec is usually different because it's judges that don't go to any other NASCA tournaments. And then, this year you got a bunch of like WACO judges. We had some WACO like fighting judges step in for our forms divisions too. So it's like, they've definitely never seen us before. And then sometimes like when we go to California for competes, you have people that you've never seen before. So every now and then you'll get like, it's 9-8, 9-9. And like, 9.4. Yeah. So occasionally you get those things that happen, but I think for the most part, they pretty much usually get it right, or at least are very close.
Yeah. It's funny that you say competes, because that we used to always see a divide that way too, like even way back from the East Coast to West Coast, just almost like what the expectations are.
Yeah, sure.
And I feel like it's not necessarily that, because some people go like, oh, well, you know, you get a group of judges that are biased. I don't think that's it. I think it's their order of importance is slightly different. So what they like the order that they put those skills for validation is slightly different, but it still does seem like when you add up how many boxes you tick off, the best people still show up at the top, especially with the comparative scoring. With technical scoring, I feel like it was way worse. But with the comparative scoring, I think you're right. I think they get it right more often. It was funny. I got kicked out of the one division, but I stayed to watch you guys. And the medic girl, I wish I knew her name because I see her there every year. Is it bad?
They were awesome, by the way. They were great.
Pardon?
Yeah, they were doing a good job.
They were great. Yeah.
They're always good. But I wish I knew her name. Anyway, she came up beside me and she asked me, she goes, so if they all drop, who wins? Because she'd been watching that. I was like, that's a really good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But she stuck around and she watched the second half of that whole division. So, and she was asking some questions. And so I asked her when they lined you guys up, I was like, okay, you're standing here. You don't know any of these people. Who's the winner? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, who's the winner? Like, and she actually picked out the top 4.
Wow.
Which is cool to go. This person has no idea, but she could still go based on just overall perception, athleticism, the package that was presented. She picked out the top 4, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. So then you go, do you need judges? But but yeah, it just separates you guys out. But yeah, anyway, like I don't know that's necessarily bias as much as it is like just a different order of importance in their head, right?
Yeah, style preference, just priorities from that specific person. What do they value more? Yeah. You can see that. Makes sense. Well, cool. Another thing that's pretty apparent with the whole Casey Nash thing is the family dynamic that you have, right? I'll leave it at that and I'll let you talk about it because there might be some people who have no idea like who is related to you and all these different things. So talk about a little bit of your family within the martial arts and maybe the influence that you feel like your family specifically has had on the sport.
Well, both my brother and I were on Paul Mitchell. He's 3 years younger than I am. So we were on Paul Mitchell. We were on Metro together and then Paul Mitchell together. My husband was a member of Paul Mitchell for a bit. Also CJB Team Elite. And with the All-Star guys, like he's obviously worked with a lot of really great people as well. And then his sister, my sister-in-law, was also on Paul Mitchell and competed. So yeah, there's 4 of us that have been in this for a really long time. As far as impact, I don't know. That's hard, I think, because I'm sitting in the middle of it. So it kind of feel like I think other people feel it more than I do, maybe, because to me it's just normal. Like I think as far as processing goes, there's a lot to be said again for being surrounded by like-minded people. Because when they're going to the gym, you're going to the gym. When they're staying for an extra session, you're staying for an extra session, right? The days you don't want to train and they do, here we go. And vice versa. There's very much an overall push to be better. So that was huge. And we're competitive. So that helps as well. Like whenever, even just as little things like as being like, we have a team tryout every year, which is basically a team workout, but it was always like who could do more. So if I hit 150 push-ups, he's like, wait a second, what? Like it's because your arms are short. Like there was always a reason. Like, but we're always like going, how do you best them? But at the same time, again, you have people that understand the stress of what you're going through. So they understand the tournament process. They understand what goes into it, the commitment. They understand how you feel afterwards. So there's a lot more understanding in that. When you need time, when you need to be pushed to go a little bit more, a little bit less, like going through all of that with them was huge.
I'm sure.
I can't even put it into words. Like we have it hanging on my wall upstairs, but like when my son was born and Trevor was at the hospital, like the first pictures I have of my first child and myself and my husband, he's wearing a Paul Mitchell shirt. Like I go, really? Like, did we plan this? But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't really know what you really want as far as the dynamic goes. Like, I don't know what questions you have, but there were some tournaments we went to where it very much felt like it was our show. Like, I think there were 2 events where I took it was Kumite. Chelsea took women's overall. Trevor took men's overall. I took the overall forms because it was men and women together, and weapons was separate. Every opportunity to win, we swept the whole thing. Chelsea and Trevor have done it a couple tournaments too, where they've both won open weight overall division, like as a team. Yeah. So that's cool. I think it's been a lot for them as far as like, it's as awesome as it is, it's also rough because now you have so many different relationships to juggle because your teammates, your family members, like he's my husband. He's also my coach. He's also my boss. We also run businesses together. Like, there's a lot of different relationships you have to be ready to manage. And some you take top, some you have to move over because they're in charge. So that's been an interesting. It's also really awesome having someone that knows you that well be your coach.
I'm sure, yeah.
Like Trevor coaching Chelsea was amazing. Like, the dynamic in class sometimes not so much, but because they don't pull any punches. But yeah, I don't really know if that answers your question, but
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it kind of comes up like almost every podcast episode, but we always come back to like iron sharpens iron, and you know, we've known each other for so long, and we've kind of always just communicated and pushed each other a little bit. Like the first thing me and Dawson do after a night show is we watch our forums and we're like, what could we have done better? And we're always talking about what happened or what we did with the performance. And like then next tournament we come back and we're like watching last tournament's video and this tournament's video, and we're like, yeah, okay, so we're getting there, you know. So I imagine with that being inside of your actual family, you know, that's a pretty strong aspect to, you know, the success of the family, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to turn off sometimes too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to turn off.
Yeah.
But it's good that you guys do that. That like, there was a quote somewhere about prodigies. God, I wish I could remember it. But it was basically like one of the biggest keys or descriptors of being a prodigy is they all have the rage to master, which means it almost is like an overall obsession to master that skill. Like it is all encompassing. So the fact that like you're literally still there watching it, trying to figure out what you can do next is a huge testament to what your goals are and how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people do that.
Yeah. It's something Mr. Welch says a lot, or Mike says a lot here, is a lot of times he goes like, you have to be obsessed if you're gonna be successful with this sport. I mean, with a lot of things, but especially with this sport, he's like, if you don't become obsessed, you're just not gonna get where you want to go.
Well, because the devil's in the details, right? It's the smallest. We'll quote Marcel, the minutia. Like it's the smallest bits that make that difference, right? Yeah. I still have my thesaurus that you guys got me, so I can have a conversation. Do you guys know that? Yeah, I was supposed to have a conversation with Marcel, and so I show up at a tournament, and who was it? Lauren and Avery gave me a thesaurus. Just so you can get through this conversation, you need to start studying so you can talk to Marcel. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's in the details.
Yeah.
And if you're not obsessed with making every little small piece better, then
That's for sure.
Because you guys are so close, and that's why it's so hard as the judges, because it's very, very small things that separate the top guys, especially right now with what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like sometimes they're almost looking just to make the choice based on who made the obvious mistake. They're just waiting, like, please make a mistake. That way it's easy for me to justify why I put you in order, because there's such small differences in you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely tell, like, just going, there's a list of just legendary, forms. We'll just say forms competitors, but there's great fighters too that are just, I have a word, meticulous. They're very meticulous in their forms.
Is that your SAT word for the day?
I guess so.
There you go.
This is Marcel Jones' moment of the day.
Yeah. No, it's true though.
Yeah.
That's the same reason you do the drills 100 times, 500 times, 1,000 times, like, right?
We did that at camps.
Yeah.
Chop punch drills, bow strikes, sword cuts, to the point where we got blisters.
Stance shifts, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do to be the best, I guess.
No, it's what separates the best from everybody else, right? It's a lonely 1%. Like, there's not a lot of people that will do what needed to be done to get to that level. So when you can find like-minded people, like, hold on to them. Because like you said, if iron sharpens iron, that's where you're headed. Like, it's 100% accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I have, and this is a question I wanted to make sure I asked, being a bow competitor.
Okay.
I would like just a little inkling into your thoughts of the evolution of bow tosses. Obviously, were you the first one to actually toss in competition, or was it like the first person to toss where it was really known? Or did you ever see it before you? Because, like, to my knowledge, I was always told you were the first.
That's what I was always told too. And I don't know, like, at the time that it was like, oh, guess what I did first? Like, because it wasn't really a defining thing, I don't think, to me. But I think there were a lot of us at the time that were playing around with different stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, I think I was just the one that got credit for it, because I don't know that we had enough access to video footage to know for sure. That's fair to say. I'll take the credit.
Why not?
Joy Greenall was doing a lot of crazy stuff around that time too.
Oh yeah.
Evolution wise, like, it's interesting. Like, I think there was a time where, like, you're pushing the boundaries with anything, that it kind of crosses over genres. And I think there's some of the stuff that has crossed out of martial arts and over into other types of things. Like, we get compared, I'm going to say we, because, like, get compared to baton a lot.
Yeah.
And I think the only way to really continue to differentiate ourselves between other things that juggle stuff is to figure out ways to work back in the striking or the aggressive component.
Yeah.
Because I think some of the kids, they see what's out there and they misunderstand the goal. So they see what the athletes can do as far as how many revolutions or how many spins in the air or how many rotations this way. And to them, it's like, that's what matters. And there's a whole nother layer to what matters as far as the execution and what comes before and after to make it a movement that's cohesive to the plan or the feeling of a martial arts form.
Yeah.
Right. So I think as far as the evolution goes, it kind of ends up coming this way a little bit, where you go a lot of baton and then we work back in the karate, and then a lot of baton and work back in the karate. And I'm not taking anything away from the baton stuff, because they do some crazy cool stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just the process of figuring out how to make it back into karate.
Yeah.
For me. And I find the athletes that are able to incorporate what looks like contact more compelling to watch for me, because normally it's a little bit more of a creative outlet. Like, they've had to actually think about how to line that up to where it potentially could be something you would see in a movie or a fight scene, or maybe not Matrix where he just spins around with the bow. But what I'm talking about, like, it looks like you can almost visualize the other side of what's happening.
Yeah.
I would say Jake Presley is a prime example of that.
I love the way that when he rolls out and he cuts his angles, you can actually like, does it almost feel like it's a sword almost? Like the way he comes through on all of his figure eights, there's like a whip to it. Versus it
sweeping
feeling like
someone.
it's a residual rotation. It feels like it's aggressive. So,
Yeah. Oh, I'll even teach it this way too. Like I know right now swing neck roll is pretty popular. Sometimes I'll see it as almost like a one-handed figure eight into a neck roll.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the perfect example of like what you're saying. If you take the bow from back here and you swing it across the front and then do a pass, you can tell like, okay, that would hurt. No matter if you do a cool roll after, if you got hit with the first part of that would hurt. And then like you're saying, like with Jake, I think it's a good example. If he goes like from that, the swing out of the neck roll is also like that would hurt too. Like that backhand swing out. And that's how I'll teach it. I don't teach it as like a figure eight into a neck roll, a reverse figure eight to the back. It's a front hand swing, you pass to the left, and a backhand swing. And then we go behind the back, and then whatever else follows is, what it is. But yeah, there's an intention behind it. I'll say this isn't a spin. Think of this as a strike so that there is a certain level of practicality. Because in my opinion, like if I'm in a fight and I have a bow on the off chance that there's just a bow in my hand, I think swinging the bow at somebody is probably one of the best options. Like you can keep
very therapeutic too.
Exactly, right?
That is true.
And so when I do like swing neck roll into a combo and people are like, oh, it's just baton twirling. I'm like, do you want to stand in front of that? Like, I don't think anyone would. And so to me, I think there's a balance there.
Yeah, that's definitely a deciding factor because I don't know that a lot of your up and comers see it that way. They see it as just being able to pull off the trick. So that's what their goal is.
Yeah.
So then as they're moving through those things, they kind of miss the next, like the layers and nuances that make it effective.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I think even as spectators and judges, like we watch an athlete and there's just something about the way they move that resonates with you, or you're like, yeah, there's just something about it that's awesome or off.
Yeah.
And we don't always know what it is in real time. You have that overall impression. And then that's what happens to my face as I'm watching. It's 100% what's happening. Because you kind of go like, was it good? I don't know. There's something about it that's amazing. And then you're like, I don't really know, maybe. It's a whole conversation that happens.
Yeah, there are some, I'm kind of getting back to what you said before, as like some of this is a little bit baton twirly-ish, but then some of it, makes sense. There's a couple moves like I still do to this day that I can't defend, like throwing my bow up and spinning 3 times. It just looks cool, right?
It does look cool.
Like the crowds get it, but then like the way I start my form, toss right to the first strike, and then I'm like, at least there's something behind that, or like orbiter around the body, grab. Most people who catch like one hand, I started grabbing 2 hands and swinging out super hard, right? So I like to, because there's value in the entertainment side of things. When you throw a bow in the air and spin 3 times, like people love to see that. But like you're saying, there should still be a certain essence of practicality. I know that's not going to be my go-to move on something, but it's still makes sense in a more
you're also not leaving. Like I find that all of you guys that made those movements popular, like weren't doing just that move. You had stuff before it and you had stuff after it to kind of anchor it. Right. And then it was, I can do all this. I can also do this and it's pretty cool. I can also do all this. So from an entertainment perspective, like the people that have made those, Jackson's huge on it, have made those moves amazing, had other stuff too.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of people that watch it on the outside go, they won because difficulty.
The trick.
You go, no, it's not just the difficulty. It's everything else they did that highlighted the difficulty. So instead of just going and seeing, well, to beat them, instead of 3, I got to do 4. No, you don't. You need to fix all the other stuff that's sandwiching your cool move to make your cool move look better. Right. And that's where I think like that's that whole overall cohesive package. Like essentially you're trying to market yourself.
Yeah.
right? When you put together a form, however you've done it, you're trying to market yourself. So you want to put in the kata, the form, the stuff that you're the best at from the best angle. Because that was a lot of things like watching on the weekend, like a lot of the combination, I'm like, oh my God, that was cool. Would have been so much better if they did it that way. Right? Because I don't want to land and I don't want to look at your butt and your back when you land. Like put the pose where like reposition it and let us actually appreciate all the athleticism that went into that movement. You know what I mean? So some of it just looks like it's spaghetti thrown at the wall, and this is just the order I had to do it to get it all in there. But if you take a step back and you repackage it and you look at it as essentially, like take all your skills, how are you going to market them in, call it a minute and a half, first impression to 5 people that, let's assume, don't know us, have never seen us before. How do you package it so they appreciate it?
Yeah.
Because like I'm gonna get on a whole nother. Sorry. A lot of times when people talk about when people look at kata, like I get a different appreciation for a kata the second, third, fourth, fifth time I get to watch it. Because there's so much more about it that you get a chance to understand, appreciate, and break down. All the forms that I watched last weekend was the first time I'd seen them.
Yeah.
So I have to try to digest all that spaghetti that's being thrown against the wall in a minute and a half and go, it was either good or it wasn't. Which is why I think guys like you that are able to package their material and then hold a position so I can go, okay, that was really cool. And then you show me something else instead of constantly bombarding us with stuff that by the time you finish, we can't remember any of the cool stuff because it was all one cool thing instead of 10 cool things.
Yeah, sure. Definitely got to try to remember like these, the judges, they're not masters of the tricks, but they don't have like what you said, like you guys don't have the time to fully dissect what all is going on.
Yeah.
So they're going to act on instinct and it could just be the smallest thing like a freeze frame or a bow strike or a pause move. So, but 100%. Also, what's up?
It stands out. It's memorable. And that's what you want to be, is you want to be memorable. John Valeri used to tell us from that standpoint, because now we do comparative scoring. So you watch the whole division, right? Were you guys around when it was the first 3 and then you score as you went? No. So even if you have a division of 40 people, the first 3 go, and then they would call them back up and score them. And now every single person, they're scoring as they see them. Okay. So when you would have a division of say 40 people, you would see the scores constantly escalate. Yeah. Which is why it was so important to be seated, because then you got to go to the end. They'd reserve their big scores. They knew where to put you. So you generally got a little bit better placement if you went towards the end of the pack. Yeah. Right. That was so John used to tell us, like, because you need to stand where they can see you so they remember you, because if not, they're going to forget. So when he first went up into the adult division, I have him on tape, a couple of the black and blue videos. Every clip of the men's division, you see him standing in the back. So while the judges are watching competitor 12, he's standing right there. So it's constantly a visual reference to, I'm watching you, but that guy was really good. So I'm not going to score you higher because I remember him and he's John Valeri and he's really good. Right? Whereas like I caught myself on the weekend watching kids and going, who was it that did that? Where was that kid? Where'd that kid go? Right? You have to be memorable. And because of the way it was set up, he made sure he was memorable. Because he's still standing right there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like just a different way to play the game. But yeah, the packaging and making sure that we can hold on to something from a visual point to carry forward, because we're only getting to see it once.
Yeah, feeling that presence, even when you're not in the ring at the moment, but throughout the division, there's a presence there. I like that.
But even when you guys are in places where the judges don't know you, right? Like being able to see you off on the side, like helps them.
Yeah.
Right. There's a modern slang word that everyone says, it's a aura. That's what it's called. Aura.
Your aura is modern slang?
Well, I wouldn't say it's modern, but
I thought you were going to say like Riz or whatever this. I don't know what you're going with. I get all the weird high school stuff from my kids.
I think aura has always been like a word, but I think it's just it's resurfaced and has like a new meaning. It's very significant right now, I guess.
That's
okay.
Yeah. I also teach martial arts, so yeah, I hear all the modern slang nowadays. So I'm just as confused as you are, probably. So.
I taught today, and there was a lot of Minecraft references.
Minecraft.
Probably from the movie.
Yeah. Well, no, as teaching, trying to get the kids to do what I want them to do. I'm like, okay, so how big is your stance? So, and I'm like, it's 2 Minecraft blocks. Okay, we got 2 Minecraft blocks. We're gonna stack the Minecraft blocks this way. They're like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, yes. Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah.
I may have to use that.
Yeah, instantly. They're like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah.
That's great.
See, you like that, eh? That's good.
He likes it a lot, apparently.
Yeah. I may try that and see what happens.
If they understand.
So,
but then I had one kid's like this doesn't make sense. Miss Nash, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, why? Because Minecraft blocks are 6 by 6. I'm like, what? I'm like, it's not to scale. Like, what do you mean it's not to scale? I'm like, yeah. So we had a whole scaling conversation about equating 6 by 6 blocks to a shoulder width. It was amazing.
That's fun.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go, Minecraft blocks.
Well, another question is, you've competed in sync with Lauren as well as Wayne Douglas. Would you like to talk about that dynamic? I've seen. I mean, you can find it on YouTube. Probably one of the coolest sync forms I've ever seen was the bow staff / open hand form with Lauren. Cool. Like, how did you guys even come up with that, and how long did that even take you guys to, like, take
Lauren
us through?
Can give you the timeline better because she has a memory like Jeff Dawson. If I go back, like, Wayne was amazing to work with. I'd been doing privates with Wayne for a while and working with him. And then Paul Mitchell started sponsoring the sync division, and it was going to be something they were sponsoring it. We did, I don't remember what they called it, but they were giving out an award at 3 of the big events, Diamonds, US Open, and I want to say Battle. It was almost like a Triple Crown kind of thing for sync. And we didn't have a team. We'd had guys do it in the past, but we currently didn't have one. So it was brought to the table for Wayne and I to try to do something because we were already training together. So that's where that one came from. He was awesome. There's such a different timing from a bow that is 4 foot compared to a bow that is 5 foot. It was very hard to get that timing right and to keep up with him because first off, he was fast to start with. Yeah. And then the fact that his arms are so short and he's like, that was hard. But a lot of fun because he was a great kid, great family. His dad was awesome. And then fast forwarding to Lauren, we got into the same boat with Paul Mitchell where we were going into Diamonds. Paul Mitchell was going to be sponsoring and we didn't have a team. So we said to Steve, like, what do you want to do? Like, Julie's going to be very upset if we don't have a team. So we got together and quickly put something together. That very first one, it was fun. We had a lot of fun doing it, but it was a hot mess, in my opinion. Because we did like traditional kata and then creative kata and then a little bit of bow. It was like this weird hodgepodge. But because of the training that we do together and then stylistically, the matchup was good. And then we were looking at what are we going to do next. So I picked up the phone. She's better at the timeline, but and said, if we're going to do it, like we got to do something different. Like what can we do that's different? And so we started spitballing stuff. And I've always had my kids train strikes without their bow because the parents love it because they can do it at home and they don't break stuff. But it's the same punching combo. So they're practicing up, down, side, side. You're working targeting. You don't need the bow. You just need the mechanics. So I was saying to her, like, there's so much that we do when I roll through, when I'm trying to find new combinations that I reference creative kata, like, what would it look like? Like, could we do this? So I already had a notebook where I was playing with like combinations that overlap that might visually look right. And Lauren was doing more creative, like she competed in more of that stuff. So she came up for the weekend and we put the whole form together with music in 2 days. And then we did it at Diamonds. And at first, I think it was another one of those, like, people didn't know what it was at first. Like we had people, I think it was, I just lost her name. Lynn Gregory on the side screaming at us before we go on that I had forgotten my bow. And I'm like, no, I'm good. You forgot your bow. Oh my God, where's your bow? Where's your bow? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, we got this. Like, we're okay. Because they didn't understand what was happening. And you could kind of see it on their faces. They kind of pulled the Casey face. We're like, why is this? And then it was like, so once people started figuring out the concept, I think it got a lot of traction. And it was a lot of fun from a creative process, because at that point, I'm trying to think, what year was that? 2003? I don't know. Jackson will know. You can try to know. I know he'll know. We'd already been doing it for a long time, and you need stuff that's cool to keep you excited. So for me, that was very much, this is exciting again. Like, how can we find stuff from Wushu, from different soft style things, working with some ideas from John Su, and watching the way that they move. How can we incorporate it? And again, now I have a reason to train. Yeah. And I have somebody that I have to keep up with. And I think that I was training more then, because the dynamic changed a little bit, right? Like, we were student teacher friends, but now we have to stand together and to know that I can't let her down, because it's not just buddies. Like, I'm supposed to be the coach. Like, I have to figure this out. That was a stress, but also a big motivator. And it was fun. Like, we had a lot. Like, you guys should see some of the outtakes from those training sessions. I got hit so many times. I'll never forget. We were more, because again, like, we never saw each other. Like, it wasn't like we would see each other like every week or whatever. Like, we're in 2 totally different countries. So the only time we got to practice was Friday morning before we competed. And it was, let's do a couple run throughs. Like, please don't hit me. And let's hope for the best. I'll never forget being at a tournament and we're warming up, and she spun and she hit me so hard. And Matt Mullins is standing right there, and his face was like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, it's fine. It happens all the time. All the time. I think there were points where she did it on purpose. I really do, just to be able to get a free shot in. But I mean, you guys probably get it because you guys do teams. Like, it's such a different dynamic.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, and I understand too, like, not actually being there for training too, because, we don't live in the same state. So same with Esteban, we're not even technically in the same country. So it's like, the Friday mornings putting it together, or it's just like show up and it's like, we know what we're doing, right? Like, we got this down, and then we just go do it, But I agree. Like you're saying, when you have something so like different and something you actually have to really now focus on and work for, it's a big motivator, like relight the fire inside of you to get back into it. So,
and people were talking about it. So that was kind of a pressure too, to try it. And then it was to stay like, what else can you add? Because we had a couple versions as we were adding stuff.
Sure.
Then it was hard because Matt and Steve Tirada were coming up. So trying to compete with those guys was a different dynamic too, because they're so good. For us, like, I don't know how you guys did, but for us, the music was like a third person for us, because it was choreographed to the music. Training on our own, if I was with the music, I knew I was with her because she's supposed to be with the music. So that was like a third person. Whereas I think now there's a lot of music out there that's very much like just
background noise
in the background. So the music very much helped us stay on point that way. But you guys do a lot of Zoom stuff together, or like not even that?
We'll do some FaceTime calls occasionally. kind of like what in your same boat where we constantly look at our form and like, what are things that we can do to fix or improve on? So like we've changed our form quite a bit. So yeah, that's the one time we'll make FaceTime calls, or I've even gone to his house over Christmas the past 2 years, and we just just come up with a bunch of new concepts.
Yeah, and then after those calls too, there's just an expectation we have within each other that we're going to get the new things we just talked about down separately, and then we get to the tournament and just make sure everything still clicks together.
Do you ever have issues with like the way that you section off timing wise compared to each other? Like, are you guys pretty much on point with how you compartmentalize time?
For our dynamic, I've never not been teammates with Dawson. So through the 2 teams that I've been on, I've always been teammates, and we're like best friends, and we did demo together, right? So we already had that going. So even before we did our sync form, we were already doing sync with other people involved with the demo. And so then when we put it together, it just works. Even though we don't move the exact same, if you watch the 2 of us as we go, you'll see little differences, but as one unit, it still works.
Yeah, I was about to say that, like, for the most part, like our timing or sync is pretty on point, but like he said, the little details, like it could be the littlest thing where like I step an inch or a Minecraft block farther out than he does, So that's in my head now. Jeez. But
I even drew on the board with like markers and tried to do like grass blocks, and yeah, I'm always artistic. I was good. But no, like I guess too, like if you guys are that close, there's an understanding of like if you're putting together a combination, this is probably how Dawson's going to do it. Like because you kind of understand probably his mindset as well, right?
Yeah, because like we talked about already, when we go after a tournament or something, we watch, like, of course, I'm watching my form, analyzing my stuff, but we also watch each other's stuff, even though we're competitors. And sometimes, we'll just call each other out like, yeah, you didn't really do that great. Like, you could have done that better. And then, so we do, kind of in a way we're like fans of each other at the same times as we're competitors. And we're also analyzing each other as competitors and once again as like fans. Yeah. So I think exactly like you said, it's like I already know how this is going to look when Dawson does it, and I know how it looks when I do it, so I can almost adjust to make it look a little more like Dawson so it works better. And I think that's actually like a subconscious thing. We don't talk about that, but there's a little bit of a understanding that obviously it's a sync form, so it needs to look the same. So there's like, we're trying to see if I did this my way, would it look as good instead if I did it more like Dawson's way, so finding that dynamic is something we don't even talk about, but just kind of happens. Cool.
I think we also both understand the pacing of the sync form.
Yeah.
The rhythm, I guess. That's something that we don't consciously talk about too. We just kind of know it because I think, like we've just done it so many times, or we've done combos, we've done demo together for so long. So it's there. I don't know how to explain it.
No, I get what you mean.
Natural.
It's interesting too, because like when you look at it from like, cause you said the rhythm of it, there's so much musicality that overlaps with martial arts in general that I find a lot of times when we're putting together a combination and you feel like something's just off, like almost like a CD skipping. I know you guys probably don't have CDs. It's fine. There's just something off with it. Normally I find it's the same as like something being off with a musical rhythm. Like there's something off with that 8 count, that in that combination, if you can fix that 8 count rhythm, now it's more pleasing to the eye. It's easier to watch and easier to appreciate.
Yep.
Which I'm not sure that enough people take the time to give tempo to their combinations, which I think is what sets you guys apart. Like just watching that whole men's division, Esteban as well. It's a very good, there's a lot of cadence shifting and tempo shifts that get you right back on that 8 count. It's pleasing to watch because it has a balance and a rhythm and a pause and a balance and a rhythm and a pause, like instead of just like techno or some crap, even techno.
Yeah. I'll open up. Like that was definitely last year. That was that was a trial that I had to figure out. with my form specifically, like just overall the pacing. Just because like my problem was I would pause a little too much and it would just appear to look like that I'm gassed. But I was like, well, I'm trying to be more strategic and like to where like I don't get gas, and like I wasn't completely stopping what I was doing. Like I was doing slow moves, slow build ups, try to make it look suspenseful, but it's like that's a little too much. So I had yet to figure that out. But also like just training with, going back to Kalman and Marcel, like training with them, like that is what they like. I just remember them like just Kalman just like coming up with stuff, and it said like I remember it like yesterday, just him just talking out loud like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like same with Marcel with hands too. It's like 1,000, 2, 1,000, go. So like it just like that was ingrained in my head. So yeah,
they're amazing. Like we did the one Paul Mitchell thing. Like we stayed after at the U.S. Open and all got together in a ballroom and just kind of, it wasn't formal or anything. We just messed around. And to watch him literally pick up everybody's different weapons and go, well, you could try this. What if you tried this? Well, if you take that, and I'm like, holy crap! Like Lauren's got some footage somewhere because I smacked her. I was like, you need to be recording this. Like this guy is gold. Like this is amazing. Even with Austin Jorgensen, soft stylist, he's like, yeah, let me see that broadsword. Like, let's start playing. Like, how can you do this? And he had his bow. Austin had his bow. And we started playing with some of the transitions that he does, the way that you can take and like swirl and attack and move back. It was amazing watching his mental process as it's developing and just sit back and just go, yeah, I'm just watching this happen. Like it's like somebody painting a picture. Like he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I wonder too, like the way that they do their cadence. Like you look at somebody like Steve Tirada, who's such a good dancer. Like how he was able to take his amazing ability there and translate it into his forms. Like the way that it sold it back and forth. Like it's such a cohesive mesh. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
You're a fangirl over Kalman. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
really?
I mean,
I what's that? I have videos of Marcel like we're getting breakfast, and we were sitting outside waiting to be seated, and he just looks at me and goes, "All right, let's come up with some combos for your form," and he get 20, 30 seconds, and he's got something like off the bat. He goes, all right, record this. And he stands up and starts going, not full out, but he starts walking through it like outside in front of some people. But it's like, bro, how did you just come up with that? Like, there's not just a typical chop punch, spin chop punch. Like, he's coming up with like claw sequences, like it's art. It's like, dude, we're just getting breakfast. Like, I'm trying to wake up right now, So
this stuff like their artistry and the way their brains work are amazing for what we do. It's phenomenal.
For sure. I trained with Kalman for a while. I actually was doing double sword for a little bit of time, and then it did not go very far, so I switched back to bow. But then I kept training with him for bow. Like I was working with him on bow stuff, and there were some things he did, like it was just up strike, and then my stance was like switched to the back though, and then I would just keep the strike here, switch my feet, pull down, and it was just like I would have never done that just doing my normal bow strikes. But just the way he like saw a completely different perspective and just plugged this thing in that really worked well for the bow, even though he's not competing with bow. And it was just something I never would have even thought of. It was pretty simple, but it was like I never even would have thought like that would make sense or would work.
Some of the coolest stuff is simple.
Exactly.
And it's crazy that it's that impactful, right?
100%.
But it was cool to watch him like make the stuff that he was about to give me. Like I'm just sitting there like, and then you see it start to come together, and he's like, "All right, try this," and then we do it, and it just works.
But I find like there's a lot of people that I end up working with that come and they basically go, "I need something. What do you got?" I'm like, what? Like that's not how it works, right? Like that's the process, that whole creative, like literally, like what if? What if we go left? I don't know. Let's try it. What if we go right? I have no idea. Like, so not to say that, I think there's a lot of people that don't put enough of their own creativity into their stuff. They just want something that somebody else has already done. Where you get a lot of those guys that are very much pioneers of that, where that's what they do, is they think outside the box and they recreate stuff. Kim Do was good for that too. Like his one knee spin form, I want to say it was from Bluegrass. He was like, I wonder if I can do a whole kata without standing up. And we're like, what? Because he was doing I think he was doing a lot of breakdancing at the time. So he started doing all these different like knee spin variations and knee slides and rollouts and kicking from the ground. And I think he got a good, and he was the kind of guy that would do it off the cuff. Like, it's not planned. I'm just going to bow and see what happens. And I think he got a good like 30 seconds. And he was like, oh, I got to stand up. And then he finished the rest of it. But all of us are on the side like, how? Like, freaking amazing. But again, I think he's got a dance background, right? Like, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I wish more of the kids like would play and experiment.
For sure. Yeah. I think the best thing, I think the best thing that I've done, and I think Ben could say the same thing, is like, we have each other. We've pushed each other, as teammates and, being on the team as well. But I've surrounded myself with professionals and try to mimic what they do. But I don't want to be like them, but they helped me get to where I am on my path. So it's like, I'm at the point where it's like, no, I don't really train with them that much anymore, but it's allowed me to kind of go outside of my comfort zone to try stuff on my own. And I'm still open to like, communicating with them as like, hey, what do you think of this? And they'll give me their honest feedback, whether they like it or not. So,
yeah, those connections are key.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to being collaborative, not just being, this is what I do, and this is all I'm allowed to do, and this is going to be it, right?
Open-minded. That's right.
Yeah, it's awesome that you guys have that outlook, because especially like where you are right now, in what you're accomplishing and how you can influence people in the next generation, like to be able to voice that and embrace that more. Hopefully will help the next group coming up be able to do the same, but also at the same time, like, see the way that you're saying, hey, be creative, push the envelope, but don't forget what you need as a solid base to kind of give that guidance is good, because I think they need to hear that from people your age, not my age. Right? Like, you guys, what you say carries more weight. That whole generation of guys that's on stage right now, what you say carries more weight. And I think we had this conversation, I think it might have been you, I don't know, that if there are things that you see competing wise that you don't like, you guys are in a position to make changes. Because you guys, Esteban, the guys that are up there all the time, are really dictating the landscape of what's winning. So if all of a sudden you change how you're doing something, it's going to be like, oh, well, Dawson does this way. Right? You have so much power right now if you want to see things change, good or bad, I guess.
Yeah. You told me that last year.
Was it you we were talking to?
It was me, yes.
I remember you.
Stuff, right?
What's that?
Was it about the traditional stuff, traditional division?
I think it was Friday, or I'm pretty sure it was Friday, so it had to have been CMX, I think. Yeah, it had to have been CMX.
Yeah, I remember him telling me that you told him that last year also. And then we also talked about something similar to that this year too. That was like, I mean, we're current and people are seeing us regularly. And so like, if we go up there and we don't do a single toss in a form, people are going to notice it and like, be like, I didn't even know you cannot toss. Like, you can just do that, So it is an interesting position to be in.
I was at a local tournament and watched somebody do creative weapons, and I didn't even know they did creative weapons. I thought they were just traditional. So I was like, holy cow, like, you're really good at this, like, really good. Why don't you do it on NASCA? And her response was, well, I can't do the toss stuff. I'm like, it's not a requirement. You don't have to do it. Just show it's a creative division. Be creative. Like, don't have to. So there's a lot of little things. Like you said, you guys have a lot of pull right now.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah. For sure.
So be good people.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this has been awesome. There's a lot of good little conversation pieces here and there sprinkled throughout. So we appreciate you taking the time coming on tonight. Hopefully everybody listening was not just watching, but actually listening in and is now going to apply some of the things that we talked about. I'm already thinking about like changes I can make to my form based off what we've talked about today, you know? So, you know, this has been great.
The whole thing without standing up.
Exactly. Yeah. My whole bow form is going to be on my knees now.
Yeah.
Maybe not that part.
Maybe we leave that one in the tank. Don't pull that one out just yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to be teaching my students how to step far 2 Minecraft blocks.
Yeah.
It's that far.
Just stay on your right leg only for your whole form.
Yeah.
Oh.
So maybe not those specific takeaways, but hopefully we got some other ones.
Lauren and I a couple weeks ago, anyway, she was saying like, what would happen if like you did a whole bow form and could do it without an up, down, side, side?
Yeah.
Like, could you do it? And I was like, wow, like, okay. Like there are so many transitions. I feel like I need that. Like, what could you do?
Right. That would make you think.
Yep. We, the guys, we've all talked about what if we did a night show, or like, what if we did no tosses? Just really try to push the creativity in our weapon instead of just tosses.
What would happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
You surprise some people.
Yeah. I think 100%. Well,
no.
We'll see what comes out of this. Yeah. Now we're thinking about it.
Yeah.
But either way, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for joining us and chatting for a while. It's been great.
Anytime. You guys are awesome.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thanks for everybody leaving the comments as we went. Thank you, as always, to Sport Karate Zone for having us on the platform and for Century Martial Arts for the support. This has been another episode of The Clean Truth with Miss Casey Nash. Hope y'all have a good night. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.